Sometimes when I start filming, just after putting my contact lenses in my eyes, people comment being like, "Are you okay? You look like you've been crying." But actually, it's just like my eyes are being sensitive and watery because I just put my contact lenses in. So I just need you to know I'm not getting choked up just yet. I haven't been crying recently in the last hour. It's just my contact lenses, okay? Anyway, welcome back to my second channel. Welcome back to Jack in the Works. Today, I wanted to do the mid-year freakout tag. I might be a month late. No, it's still July. I think you have to just do it at some point in July. Technically, you should really do it on July 1st, but whatever. I've never really been one for timekeeping. I've never really been one for doing a trend when it's actually trending. So I have the questions right in front of me. Question number 1 is the best book you've read so far in 2023. Now I actually have a new contender for this, which I read in July, but since this is the mid-year freakout tag, I'm only going to include books I read before July 1st. And so in which case, I actually have it right here. It's just under a stack of books. I'm going to try and show you, but I have one hand. And I also have to try not to accidentally unplug the microphone. Okay, we're so back. So actually, I have this stack of books because I want to film a TikTok about this. So I got sent this book recently. Remember that cover, okay? Interesting. The format, the layout, okay? It's the same thing as this one. And that's the same thing as this one. So I was intrigued, like, are these all by different designers or by the same designer? And it turns out they're all not only by different designers, but different imprints. So I'm really intrigued by that, how these design trends come into play, and then how it's possible for multiple books to essentially just do the same thing. Anyways, that's why those are on the stack. But the book I'm trying to get to is Evenings and Weekends. I think this is the best book that I've read so far this year. I absolutely adored it. It is just such a love letter to London, but also cities and city living more generally. It's like a soap opera in a book. There's so much drama. There's also lots of range in terms of the different issues the different characters are experiencing and going through. One is struggling to tell her son that she has cancer. Another one is expecting a child, but she's not sure if she's with the right person and if she's ready to fully settle down and have that be her life. Other characters are grappling with their sexuality or with open relationships, and it's just so fascinating. It is so London. Like, as someone who has lived in London, who grew up around London, it just feels like such a testimony to the city, and I just absolutely loved it. And then also, this is my other contender for this title, Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors, set in London, Paris, LA, and New York, but predominantly New York. 4 sisters, one of whom has sadly passed away, and the other 3 are grappling with their loss, and also the fact that their mother wants to sell the apartment in New York that they all grew up in and that their sister died in. They're all experiencing their own thing. I think I really like books where there's a lot of different themes. Each individual character is experiencing something, because I think it really speaks to the myriad of human experience, the complex nature of the human condition, how we're all going through something at the same time, and each of those issues is equally valid. And I suppose too, the fact that you encounter so many people every single day and you have no idea what they're going through. So I love those 2 books, Evenings and Weekends and Blue Sisters. I think they're my top 2 of the year so far. Oh, and Boulder by Eva Baltazar. Moving on. Best sequel you've read so far in 2024. I'm not going to lie to you, I don't think I've read a single sequel in 2024 so far. I've read other books by authors that I like, but that's not the same thing. I read my second Halle Butler book, my 3rd or 4th David Nichols book, my 2nd Coco Mellors book. I'm just checking my Goodreads to see if there have been any sequels. I read my 3rd Frederick Blackman book, my 2nd Ruth Ozeki, my 2nd Layla Motley, my 2nd Salman Rushdie, my 2nd Elizabeth Day, my 2nd J.G. Ballard, my 4th Emily Henry, my 2nd Kylie Reid. Yeah, my 2nd Rebecca Mackay. Do you see there's a theme here? I've read 2nd books by people, but not sequels. My 2nd Dostoevsky. My 4th or 5th Mary Oliver. Okay, so no sequels this year, it turns out. However, this is sort of a sequel. Amor Towles wrote this book called Table for Two, which is a short story collection. But within Table for Two, at the end, is a novella where he picks back up the story of one of his previous characters from Rules of Civility. So technically, in a way, yeah, that's a sequel. It's a novella sequel. So it was Table for Two by Amor Towles. And I really liked that idea of, you know, a character sitting with you for years and years and then wanting to return back to them and continue their story. So it was a fascinating concept for me, for sure. A new release you haven't read yet, but want to. I think that's going to be Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. This is a sequel of sorts. It's not really a sequel, but basically Tommy Orange wrote this amazing book called There, which you will recognize from my video on the best books of the century so far. Books that I think will be modern classics in the future. I think There has all of the ingredients to be a modern classic, and that talks about a powwow, which is also referenced in this book. So the same historical event is referenced in both books. So that's not a sequel, but it is referenced in both of the books. So this has just been announced as being on the Booker Prize longlist for 2024. I love Tommy Orange. I have both editions of this. I have the US edition and the UK edition. That's how excited I am to read it. Morgan Talty says, Wandering Stars blew my heart into 1,000 pieces and put it all back together again. This is a masterwork that will not be forgotten, a masterwork that will forever be part of you. Hello, come on. Tommy Orange is one of the most important voices, I think, in the literary landscape right now. He is a Native American writer, writing about Native American people and communities and their historical and contemporary struggles. And I think that the way he writes is incredibly, incredibly special, and a writer that if you don't know, you should get to know. And so the next question is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of 2023? You already know what my answer is. It is, of course, Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. Again, I have 2 copies of this. I have the UK arc and the US arc because I think that I've just shouted about Sally Rooney so much, like from the rooftops, on my YouTube channel, on my TikTok, on my Instagram, on literally, if you find a street corner, I will be there with a soapbox talking about Sally Rooney. I love her. And as a result, publishers took note, I guess, and very, 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 very kindly sent me the advanced copies of her new book. Now, I haven't read it yet, and I know you're going to think, Jack, you're crazy. Like, how did you not start reading it as soon as you took it out of the box? And the answer is that I'm nervous. I don't know if anyone else gets this, but I get nervous about an author that I love releasing a new book. And with Beautiful World, Where Are You? I literally ripped it out of the packaging, read it straight away, vlogged it, and then continued to speak highly about it for the rest of time until literally right now and beyond. But with Intermezzo, I have such high hopes for this book, and of course I'm aware that it's going to be a few years until we have another Sally Rooney book, and so I've kind of been saving it for like the perfect moment when I'm going to really appreciate it, and also when I can vlog it. So look, I go to Greece in a couple days and I'm going to take a bunch of books with me, but when I'm on holiday, I absolutely rattle through books. Like all I do every day is sit on the beach and read, and that's really like the time I take off once a year to just sit and read and completely disconnect from social media. So that's what I'm doing in a couple days. But I don't want to read Intermezzo in that context. So I think my plan is to get back from that trip mid-August and then just indulge in it. Take it super slowly, read it, underline it, read it again, annotate it, and then talk about it. And I will be vlogging that. So yes, basically, I'm going to read it before it comes out, so I will have a review for you. But again, I kind of think I don't want to review it and vlog my reading experience of it too far in advance of it coming out, because that just feels annoying for you guys. So I think I'll probably post my review of it maybe like in the week that Intermezzo comes out, to kind of lead you in whatever direction you want to go in. Of course, you don't have to watch the review until after you've read it if Intermezzo is something that interests you. I know that Sally Rooney's books don't interest everyone, but there is still that kind of curiosity of what's the general consensus about this. Like, you may not enjoy reading it, but you may enjoy hearing about it. So that's my act of service to you. All this to say, that's why I haven't yet read it, but I will be. And that review will be coming very, very soon. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Sally Rooney. Also, I do just quickly want to let you know before we move on to the next prompt that today's video is very kindly brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building a website or an online brand. And the best news is you don't need any coding experience. You don't need to be an expert web developer because Squarespace has hundreds, literally hundreds of incredible templates, which are designed to help you have a starting point to build your website from. There are great features. You can create a blog, you can have an email sign-up list. Also, there's amazing AI SEO to make sure that people actually can find the website that you have meticulously crafted. And also, if you set up a shop, your customers can have access to flexible payments, which is very, very helpful. So if all of this sounds good to you, you can head to squarespace.com right now and get yourself a free trial. Give it a go, give it a whir, give it a whiz. And then when you're ready to launch your beautiful new website, you can use the code jackinthebooks at squarespace.com/jackinthebooks to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So go check it out. Why not? Use this as the kick up the backside that you need. It's the midway point through the year. Have you made the website yet that you set as your New Year's resolution? You know, at the beginning of the year where you're like, I need to get around to that. If so, do it now. Okay, the next prompt is the biggest disappointment of the year so far. That's a good question. Again, I'm just looking over the books that I've read. I think Weirdo by Sarah Pascoe was a big disappointment for me because I think Sarah Pascoe is very funny and I was expecting the book to be funny, and it's also intended to be funny. Like, look, if a comedian writes a book that isn't meant to be funny, it's meant to be serious all the time, then, you know, I'm not going to judge it based on the criteria of it has to be funny, just because that's my assumption. But this book is intended to be funny, and for me it misses the mark. The characters, the horrible, I don't know, I thought the whole thing was an absolute car crash, so that was disappointing. Rebel Rising by Rebel Wilson, I guess, was a disappointment. Again, I thought it would be funny, it wasn't, but it's intended to be. True Biz, I think, was my real true disappointment because it had all of the ingredients to be a new favorite novel of all time for me. It's about sign language. I studied sign language when I was at university. It's about deaf culture. But I just don't think it hit the mark for me. Like the way that it was structured, I think should have been in the first person, not the third, because you have two characters. One is a teacher, one is a child, and yet their voices are way too. Two of them are children. There's three perspectives, and yet they're all so similarly written. There's no distinctive character voices at all that it's just pointless. Like, these people are so different in age and experiences and outlooks and perspectives, and yet they speak in exactly the same way. Why would that be? So that, I think, was my biggest disappointment. I got that recommendation from Reese's Book Club. Biggest surprise. Ooh. These questions are a surprise to me too, because I'm reading them for the very first time as I'm filming. Although I have done this challenge before. But you think I remember the questions from last year? I barely remember what I ate for breakfast this morning. All I remember is books. That's all I have in my brain. I think the biggest surprise for me was maybe Roundabout. This is by Fong Nguyen, and it's a book that I made a video about, whole YouTube video about on my main channel, because it's a lipogram. And a lipogram is basically a book that doesn't include one letter. So Roundabout is completely devoid of the letter E. And it was surprising to me because I thought it was gimmicky. I thought it would just be a silly book that made no sense and was daft, and actually it was very compelling. So I think that was the biggest surprise for me because I read it as a bit of a joke and just to make content, and then ended up really enjoying it. So yeah, and I found out what a lipogram was. I made a video about it, so that was a win. Next prompt is, who is your new favorite author? Do I have a new favorite author? I guess Oisin McKenna. Although, of course, Evenings and Weekends is a debut, I will be instantly buying anything else he writes. He has earned that title from me. I'm looking through. I would definitely read another book by Priscilla Morris after I read Black Butterflies. I would read another book by Caroline O'Donoghue, who wrote The Rachel Incident. I really liked this. And Eva Baltazar, too. I would read any book that Eva Baltazar publishes. I've actually bought the entire trilogy because Boulder's a sequel. Oh my gosh, here's the thing. Boulder is a sequel, but each book can be read as a standalone, and so I've only read Boulder. Technically it's a sequel, but I hadn't read the first book in the series, because I didn't realise it was part of a series. But each of the 3 books can be read as standalones. So, okay, that's one for multiple prompts. But I will be reading all of the other books by Eva Baltazar, but again, with the Sally Rooney thing, I'm nervous. I'm saving them for when I think I'll really be able to sink my teeth in. And I'm also nervous that they may disappoint me, but hopefully they won't. Newest favorite character. Ooh. Good question. I loved reading about the main character in The Seven Moons of Marley Almeida. I thought that was a really fun character to be, I was going to say inside of, like a fun character to be inside their head. You know what I mean? So I guess the character is Marley Almeida. The book is about Marley Almeida after he has died, but he was a kind of war photographer during the Sri Lankan civil war between the Tamils and the Sinhalese people. And it's believed that when you die, when a person dies, it's not until 7 moons have passed that their soul leaves the earth. So he's in this kind of purgatory state. So we're seeing him where he's dead, but still somewhere in between life and the abyss. A book that made you cry. See, the book that I'm currently reading is a tearjerker. But I can't talk about that because that's in the second half of the year, but you'll be getting plenty of content about this book. Trust me. Has a book made me cry this year? Oh my God, Kairos made me cry this year. Kairos made me cry this year. Sorry, I lied. Kairos made me cry. I love that book so much. That was shortlisted for the International Booker Prize and then won. And then a book that made me happy was The Details, which was also shortlisted because it just focused on the little details about the people in this person's life and what makes them special. And I don't know, I found that really a joyous thing to read about. And finally, what books do you really need to read by the end of this year? I think it will be Mammoth by Eva Baltazar. And what else? The Booker Prize long list. It's on the floor right next to me and it's calling my name. So my next reads for the foreseeable future will all be from the Booker Prize long list because I'll be presenting backstage at the ceremony in November. So look out for that. And thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what is the best book you have read so far this year in the comment section down below. And also, have any books made you cry so far this year? Because when someone says to me, this book made me cry, I am literally already on my way to the shop with my credit card in hand. Like, I need that. So let me know in the comment section down below. Of course, feel free to answer any of these prompts in the comment section down below. And I will leave the link to all of the prompts in the description box as well. So thank you for watching. All the best. Stay in touch. Have a wonderful day. And I'll catch you very soon. Bye-bye.